we dress better than them. Our African origin is almost lost. But from that Swahili, people wonder whether you know, whether you're educated. But if you go to China and Japan, they talk their language. It's up to you to find out what they are trying to say. Have you noticed that? Even the Chinese, at the time I thought, we thought the Chinese are so backward, until we found that they have the best technology so far. You have seen the roads that they are making, medicines, equipment, and they don't do it in English, they do it in Chinese. That's very interesting. Having said that, nashukuru kwa nialika kuzungumza kidogo kuhusu afya ya akili. It's good you are honoring this time for this week, considering the issues of medical workers, in particular nurses. You know, nurses and doctors, they fall under very difficult category of people because they are people who are exposed to maximum stress. And because they work odd hours, the fact that you work odd hours, it means you disorientate your system, your mental system. We shall mention something called circadian rhythm. That's the circadian rhythm which controls us. But we dismantle it because when you're supposed to sleep, you're awake. When you're supposed to be eating, you're doing something else. When you're supposed to be celebrating, as our brother said, maybe you're crying because you've lost life. So medical workers are exposed, and not only medical workers, but also all professionals, most of doctors, policemen, people in the insurance industry, people who do odd hours, they are at the highest of developing mental health challenges. Of late, we've seen a lot of suicide, a lot of homicide among the police because of those environmental changes which they go through. When I meet police, like now, a child, a police officer, so the mother tells you they moved around the country until they could not move anymore because everywhere they are being posted. Eventually, that mother stayed here in Mombasa, the husband stayed in Nairobi, and due to time and loneliness, because another woman came in the process. And the children were left stranded, and the child I'm seeing now is another 24-year-old. The child, as you talk to the child, as you talk to the mother, they tell you of this complicated environmental situation. Now that situation also affects mental or health workers. Okay. And most of the time out, by the time you come back, things have changed globally. So what are mental illnesses in general? This is general talk. I think it will be very hard since we know a lot. And I must also congratulate you for thinking of discussing it, because not many groups think about it. Although now it's becoming probably the most important topic all over. So congratulations, doing a good job. So it's really a collection as you have read that, this is associated with issues and or programs functioning social work and family. It's a status of health, mental, and mental health is basically based on the brain. Everything revolves around the brain. Now that brain can be traumatized. Therefore, you can have what we call organic causes, things like trauma, radioactivity. Now, you've been hearing this war in Ukraine. You must be very worried about it, because they are talking of using nuclear bombs. And Putin really admits he can do anything. What happens is, even if it's going to happen in Ukraine, those radiations can come to us, either directly or through the ocean, and the effect will take years, if not a lifetime, in terms of not only mental health, but also physical health. Those of you in maternity, we talk about the network, those activities, they are that basic when the child is born. If there is any trauma to the brain, either due to delayed delivery or whatever, that child may be born, you think the child is good, but later on, the child will be dead. One aspect or another of mental disorder, including even epilepsy or retardation. So it's important that your baby is not distressed, must be delivered in time. And also, it's important that a mother must come for antenatal care, because that's where check on the infections. These infections could be before birth, during birth, or after birth. I'm sure you've read about the touches. Touches, touches? Yeah? Yeah. Toxoplasmosis. What else? Rubella. Cytomegalic virus. Herpes, syphilis, HIV. I don't know whether COVID is there. I don't know. Is this there? I don't know. Any virus. Tumors, like you mentioned, or the mental disorder could be a functional disorder. In other words, there is no physical disorder you can detect. We do all the tests, everything. We do the scans, X-rays, and there is nothing. It's a we call it functional. This includes affective disorders, which include depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia. Again, the patient will ask you which test did you do. Sometimes it's very difficult to explain to a patient that they have a disorder and they didn't do it. We didn't do a laboratory test. Although the laboratory tests we do, which can indicate there will be other problems. The major psychosis there is normally perceptual disturbance. The difference between major or neurosis and psychosis is that in psychosis there is a perceptual disturbance. The five senses, that's why the patient will come with either what we call hallucination. They hear, they see, they smell. Alright? You know the five senses? Yeah. I don't know how to call it with that. There is also the thought, the mind, paranoia, which comes in, especially in schizophrenia. The patient feels, they feel that they are under threat, they are being followed, their life is in danger. Neurosis, like anxiety disorders, obsessive compulsive disorder, hysteria, and phobic disorders. These are neurosis, what you can call minor mental. They are called minor, but they are not very minor because they can disrupt the function of the individual. And of course, our friends, alcohol and drug addiction. It's very interesting. I've been seeing a lot of young people meaning around 32, they are completely addicted to alcohol with all the complications of alcohol. Yet, it's agreed that is socially acceptable and for use. So it's very difficult to tell people to dissuade people from alcohol. And once you start alcohol, then you go into other drugs. So the bottom line is that brain, this is just to tell the mind, which is divided into forebrain, midbrain, the hindbrain. Whoever made this computer was actually making a brain. If you understand computers, you will understand psychiatry, you will understand neurology. Look at that computer. Now look at what it is doing here, giving us all these things. That is what your brain does. And this person, when he did this, come up with a computer, was trying to find out how can we get something that can give us instant solutions, like the brain. The brain gives us instant solutions, receives information, keeps the information, retrieves it in terms of memory, when there's a memory brain problem, like in chronic alcohol use. It is those retrieval process that will be a problem. Now, for example, if you took your cell phone, this phone and your brain, they are almost similar. They work in a similar way. There's a lot of networking, those wires. Those are the neurons you have in the brain. Just put it in water. The whole thing will just turn blank. So the same thing that happens in brain. For example, when you have trouble, or you have drug, or you have any infection, then you're working there, short circuits, and then we see the presentation. So the brain is everything. All right? So the forebrain, we have the encapsulum, and don't want us to go into much details, but the encapsulum is deep inside, and it's composed of things like hypothalamus. Remember the thalamus, hypothalamus, and the hormones, how they are released from the hypothalamus to the thalamus and out. That is part of the brain, the encephalon, and then the encephalon is the bigger thing that you see there, the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex gives you your personality. If the cortex is injured, then to have a change personality. For example, people with syphilis, something they call general paralysis of the insane. They become hypomanic, and they have features of hypomania. Or if you have an injury, straight injury, or changes you completely. Whereas the midbrain is the most important, especially for you people who are working in ICU. That is where everything seems to work. Okay, the midbrain, the control, the autonomic control of the heart rate, the patient breathing, and if it is damaged, then obviously your life you can die. It's composed of methylcephalon and cephalon. Now we have a system, and somebody, I hope you're timing me. Now all those things we have mentioned there, the midbrain, they are part of a system called the limbic system. And the limbic system is again formed by the hippocampus and medulla and thalamic nerves here, centers and limbic cortex. This is the emotional center. So you say the cortex, you have the personality. Deep down you have the emotion. And most of these psychiatric diseases located there. And the psychotropics that you give, they also work in that area. Support emotions, behavior, and memory. Okay. We mentioned those hormone secretion and autonomic nervous system activities. Okay. Now, all this again is done through the neurotransmitters. Again, you see that you are just looking at a computer. The brain is just a computer. And all those gadgets there. The neurotransmitters, the epinephrine, GABA, serotonin, dopamine, acetylcholine. There are also some minor, what we call minor neurotransmitters. They are known as feel-good hormones. Okay? And these are released automatically through other activities. That's why we tell people go for exercise, go and watch football. As you watch that football, these endorphins are released. That's why there is general well-being of people who are watching a ball or something. They are all excited. And unfortunately, when the game is finished, then it comes down and it can give you some depression. Now, this is very important, especially during the days of World Cup. The hormones are elevated nationally. And when their team is eliminated, some people even commit suicide because of the endorphin. The endorphin, so the way you feel, you don't just feel it because you feel because there's some hormones being released. Now the major neurotransmitters, the ones we have mentioned there, if they are lower, then your mood also is lower. Then your motivation, basically you become depressed or you start being withdrawn or isolated, feeling isolated. And therefore the drugs that are going to be given to you, they are supposed to block breakdown of those neurotransmitters. I believe you know that the neurotransmitters come again, just like electricity. You have an afferent, the line that comes in, and then there is a junction box where we switch on and off, and then there is an efferent. There is a line that goes out. So basically the same thing. So what you do, when the neurotransmitters are released into the junction box. After some time, they're destroyed by specific enzymes so that you don't get continuous stimulation. But then if they are low, you want to stop that destruction, so you want to block those enzymes so that you elevate the levels of the neurotransmitters in depression. In a manic state, of course, they are high, you want to bring it down, basically. Now, the mental illness is a big issue, but then depression, is closer to us than anything else, and affects a lot of people. The only thing is that people only see when you are very depressed, but depression can take place without you looking depressed. This causes a feeling of sadness, loss of interest in activities one wants somebody enjoy, and it can lead to a variety of emotional and physical problems. All right? Symptoms can vary from severe to minor. Basically, I like to think in terms of something we call functional shift. Functional shift in depression is a situation where you have the normal limbic system function is not working. When you are working normally, then you follow a certain cycle. Your body has a certain cycle. Because this is the only way you can detect minor depression in outpatient, and not the severe ones which have to be taken to the community and so on. This is a patient will tell you that his system or her system, the cyclical system changes. Okay? That is the annual rhythm. We shall come to that one. Maybe a little bit on statistics, showing you even in America, you have a lot of depressive cases. Yeah, 17.3 million. I normally tell my patient that the medicines we use, they are made by Europeans. That means they have the problems there, not only us, because they make it for themselves. Then, this is Kunatumia. But us, we talk of Kuroko. Our diagnosis of mental health, even educated people, and that has a lot of complications because then you don't go to the hospital. And if you go, you don't finish your treatment because Baka will not run an activity. Alright? Those are the things that you have to fight. In Kenya, 1 in every 10 people suffer from a common mental illness or disorder. And you can see that we are doing very well in Kenya. The number 6 in terms of depression. You guys are always going to be number 1. And now, when you talk depression, you automatically talk about suicide. You also talk about drugs and alcohol. Because once you start feeling depressed, socially you start drinking and you start smoking. So you find a lot of people who are now caught up in drinking because they have a depressive disorder and they started solving that problem by taking a drug. Chronic illnesses, also you handle a lot of chronic illnesses. Somebody mentioned here the feelings you have when you go home and that patient dies, because you are actually taking all their. She does not know that you are the ones who are supposed to feel, okay? And the more chronic, the more mental aspects of the disease. So you can have mental illness giving you chronic diseases, or chronic diseases giving you mental condition. Okay? Just a research suggestion showing that If somebody has depression, two people, one has depression, one doesn't have, and they are both sick. The one with the depression is likely to take longer to get better. So when you take care of that patient, also try to find out if does he have or does she have an emotional challenge, all right? And all these chronic disorders. We don't say they cause, but they are associated. Okay? It's a very close association with chronic sickness. This is just somebody who did a survey and showed that there is a lot of mental illness in chronic illness, like diabetes or other conditions. So people with other conditions are likely to have mental challenges. Okay? So then the stage to show again symptoms in it could be in any other case. But I remember we said 1 in 10 Kenyans has a mental disorder, but up to 20 to 25% of patients who come to a general practice to hospital, 20% will have a mental challenge. All right? The ones, and they are not coming for that, they are coming for something else. For example, there is a guy who was, how many minutes do I have remaining? 10. Okay, there is a guy who had all his teeth removed because he was having pain. Okay. But it was, it was depression. So at the end of the day, the dentist removed everything. Because you have pain, you remove it. You have pain, So it's very interesting. Okay. Suicide, okay? In depression and in chronic disorder. So it's good to ask your patient, do you feel that life is worthless? Do you feel like it's not worth living? If you ask somebody, do you want to kill yourself, they tell you no. Unless they are really serious. Many will say no. But when you ask them, they say yes, I feel life is worthless. Do you sometimes cry? Yes, I sit down and cry. Do you feel like nobody loves you? Now, those are things that you can ask in your patients. And by even discussing with you, they are going to feel better. Circadian rhythm is what I had mentioned earlier, the function, the rhythmic function of our bodies. And not only bodies, but even plants and animals. Not even plants and animals, even the planet itself moves, is not static. It moves in a similar manner, regular manner. Now, and it is those movements that give us our seasons, summer, whatever, winter, because there is a certain movement. So within your body, you have also a rhythm. You live in a rhythm. It's a fundamental system, let me just say, that is used to explain the cyclic biological process that seem to control human behavior. So, which things happen cyclically? Eating is the one who tells you now you're hungry, go and eat. Now it tells you again, stop eating, you have eaten enough. Tells you now it's good, you go to work. Because the system tells you now go to sleep. The system also wakes you up in the morning, even without a clock. The system also tells you now go to the toilet. Now come out of the toilet. There's a clock. That clock inside you, the circadian rhythm, and is the one which is damaged in the mental illness. It is disrupted. For the ladies, the menses, again, the same thing. Regular menses. When there is a problem, then also you can have irregular menses. Of course, you end up in the gynecologist. And unless that gynecologist can identify, then you may even end up doing some operations on you. All right? You can have other things like psychosomatic problems, cold pains, general pain. This is what we call the upper and upper syndrome. We go to the doctor, this pain is here, it comes here, goes here, and then it stops here. Then you try to think, what is that? You can't get it. It's a psychological problem through the psychiatric. Okay. You have had those explanations by questions. Hi. This is a summary of what you have said. We are talking of now this is a summary of what we discussed. But let's start there. That star is the brain. And we have said about there is something we call trauma. A trauma coming from antenatal causes, perinatal causes, postnatal, or in life, that including infection. That's why when a patient coming, we also need to do investigation. Sometimes they have dengue, sometimes they have TB. But they don't come for the TB, they come for the depression. And when you do investigation, you find that maybe they have biliary treated. And that effect affects the brain, the center there, and down here through the neurotransmitters, you get the symptoms. Now, that external environment is what is very important. Okay? And that's why I'm also interested in the environment. I have a group that deals with the environment, cleanups and whatever. People don't know, but the environment you are living in is contributing to your general ill health. Unfortunately, people don't seem to care, especially the rulers. Okay? There could be internal environmental factors like genetics. If you are, I've seen families, I think you also have seen families that they have, everybody has a mental disorder, gross mental disorder, even alcohol. I've seen families where there's, almost all of them are alcoholics. You have the genetics, loading, and also you have those effects. Eventually, they affect the brain, okay, in terms of trauma. It comes as trauma. Now the presentation can be through, you can see all the support systems, genitourinary system, PIT, irritability, heart, fatigue, aches, sleep, control, that is cortisol, and even sexual disorders in terms of there's sexual dysfunction. On the left side. Okay. So this is a presentation of the mental disorder physically. So the patient will not tell you I'm depressed, but unless you take the history. Okay. So the diagnosis, you need a very keen ear, what we call therapeutic interview, listening to the patient. That's why it's difficult to treat psychiatric disorders in GP, because you have too many patients
4 minutes now.
and you have no time to listen. So you want to know, no one are big people, go and ask me. You know, you have no time because you can't do it. If you do it, the line there will be complained. So sometimes it may help to refer to somebody else to go and listen to that person. Thyroid and thyroid functions test, biochemical test, magnesium, blood works, calcium, radiological, CT scan, and so on, liver and renal functions. So the mental illness, they are treatable based on the specific diagnosis, and it involves both. The interview itself is therapeutic. That's where the treatment starts. Where the person, for example, comes to realize you understand them and you appreciate. Then from there you have pharmacological treatment as well as psychosocial. Psychosocial again is trying to manipulate the environment. Like now that young man I was telling you about, where the father has another wife, this year the original wife is in another place, has moved to another place, the child has become sick, and the father, father will not understand why this child is misbehaving, but it's because of them. Lakini wanakuja wakali kabisa. Until this boy was actually feeling suicidal. Now when you are discharging, to ask way forward in terms of environment, where do you go? You go back to your father's house, where you have a stepmother, or do you go to your mother who is not in relationship with your father anymore? And I had called the father, told him I want to talk to you, and I suggest that this boy does not go where he wants, he goes to the mother. Although I'm sure the father must have said, this doctor, akona mpango na huyo mama, kwa nini ananipokonya mtoto? Lakini huyo mtoto, if you don't do that, he can easily even go and kill himself. You saw that one, he shot himself. Things like that. So, in management, you talk of the environment. You change the environment. And talking about mothers and fathers, we should also talk about employers. Employers, sasa nimekuwa hapa where ni mtoto wa employer. Na employer, actually na 2 minutes. Employer ndio baba yangu. Lakini employer wengine hawajui. They think you are malingering. They think you are not keeping time. If you are not doing well, kumbe uko na stress. Instead of calling you, wakwambia lakini kama mtoto nini inaendelea? Sasa anakuwekea another punishment. So you either deteriorate or even leave that job. So the environment where you are working is very important. Environment where you are living is very important. Okay? Those are the drugs and antipsychotics, the major and minor tranquilizers. Again, they are now working on those areas of neurotransmitters which we mentioned. Right? Management, you have already mentioned in terms of psychotherapy. Even talking, discussing, having a family group discussion that can bring out things that yes, can say, who don't talk here, and then there is war, and then it resolves that. You can have the physical therapy, like ECT, and some people have even gone to surgery in very severe cases. Psychosurgery. Okay, self-help and coping. This is, I think, good. A number of things people can do to help reduce symptoms, regular exercise. Kama hapa mnakuwa mkija mkifanya exercise hapa, unafanya yoga, si kutoka nyumbani job, get positive feelings, getting enough quality sleep, engaging in social contact like what you are doing in the environment. Do something else out of your profession. And of course, eating healthy. Eating healthy means wachana na junk food. Okay? Ila mnapenda. It's not good. That one we cannot go through, but this is we have discussed that. The way to live, things, the way to through personal exercise, eat, drink, music. Music is very good. So I found a lot of good music here. That music is good. It's therapeutic because it releases the endorphins. Endorphins we are talking about, the dancing, the running. Unaona kama madaktari wana shida sana because we are very disciplined. To sit like this, come a gentleman, stand there, jump. Lakini ile kujump, kumbe ni dawa. Okay? Don't keep things kwa moyo wako. Do social things. Kama ni Kristo, kama ni Muislamu, whatever religious activities you have, all those are legal. Alright? Those are differences. And that is absolutely changing.
Okay, let's appreciate the carry. Once again with 3 factorial. 1, 2, 3. I want all of us to start with it. And that makes sense a bit. Sister Felicia.